No one expects a quiet afternoon to change their entire understanding of someone they love. But that is exactly what happened the day my nephew asked me to follow him into the garage. It was late summer, the kind of afternoon where the air feels warm but gentle. The house was calm, too calm in a way that makes you notice every small sound. My nephew, Daniel, had been unusually quiet all day. He was 17 years old then, tall, awkward, and always hiding behind a half smile. He had lived with me for almost 3 years. After his parents moved overseas for work, I became the stable adult in his life. At least that's what I thought. Daniel was polite, helpful, a little distant, but nothing alarming. He did his chores, he did well in school, he rarely complained. If you asked me then, I would have said I knew him well. That afternoon, I was folding laundry in the living room when he appeared in the doorway. His hands were shoved into his pockets. His eyes wouldn't meet mine. "Can I show you something?" he asked. His voice sounded careful, almost fragile. I remember pausing, a towel frozen mid-fold. Something in his tone made my chest tighten. "Sure," I said. "Everything okay?" He nodded too quickly. "Yeah, I think so." We walked to the garage together. The space smelled like old wood and motor oil. Sunlight slipped through the dusty windows. Daniel stood near a covered table in the corner. He hesitated, fingers gripping the edge of the cloth. "I've been working on something," he said softly, "for a long time." I waited. I didn't rush him. Finally, he pulled the cloth away. What I saw underneath wasn't dangerous. It wasn't shocking in the way people imagine. But it stopped me cold. Dozens of notebooks were stacked neatly. Sketchbooks. Folders filled with handwritten pages. Carefully organized. Labeled by date. "This is a lot," I said. He swallowed. "I know." He opened one notebook and handed it to me. His hands were shaking. "Just read a page," he said. "Any page." I did. The words were beautiful, not polished, but honest. He wrote about missing his parents, about feeling invisible at school, about nights when the house felt too quiet. Each sentence felt like a quiet confession, the kind people don't usually say out loud. "You wrote all of this?" I asked. He nodded. "I don't show anyone," he said. "Not usually." There was something vulnerable about the way he stood there, like he was bracing for rejection. I felt a sudden wave of guilt. How had I missed this entire world inside him? "These are really good," I said honestly. "You have a real voice." His shoulders dropped just a little. Relief, maybe. But then he reached into another box and pulled out something else. A small envelope. "This is the part I'm scared to show you." He held it out like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I took it slowly. The name on the front made my breath catch. It was addressed to me. If you're enjoying this story so far, please like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. My heart started pounding as I looked at him. "You wrote this?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "But I never meant for you to see it. Not yet." I didn't open it. Not then. Something told me that once I did, nothing between us would ever be the same. And standing there in that quiet garage, I realized how little I truly knew about the boy living under my roof. I didn't open the envelope right away. Some moments deserve respect. Daniel watched my face closely, like he was reading every breath I took. I could see fear hiding behind his calm expression. "Do you want me to read it now?" I asked. He hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I think I'm ready." We sat on 2 old stools near the workbench. The garage felt smaller somehow. I slid my finger under the edge of the envelope. The paper inside was thick, folded carefully. As I unfolded it, I noticed how neat his handwriting was, each line intentional, almost careful to a fault. The letter wasn't dramatic, it wasn't desperate. It was thoughtful. He wrote about gratitude, about how living with me had given him stability when his world felt upside down. He thanked me for small things I barely remembered doing, rides to school, late-night snacks, sitting quietly during hard days. But then the tone shifted. He wrote about fear, about feeling like a guest in his own life. He worried about disappointing me, about being too much or not enough. And then came the part that made my throat tighten. He wrote about love. Not romantic, not inappropriate. The kind of deep, quiet love that comes from finally feeling safe. He said I was the first adult who made him feel truly seen. By the time I finished reading, my eyes burned. I looked up. Daniel was staring at the floor. "I didn't mean it to be weird," he said quickly. "I just needed to write it somewhere." "It's not weird," I said softly. "It's honest." He let out a shaky breath. "I was scared you'd think I was too attached." I shook my head. "No, I think you were surviving." That was the moment I understood something important. Daniel wasn't hiding a bad side of himself. He was hiding a tender one. A side shaped by absence, by quiet resilience. We talked for hours that evening. About his parents, about school, about the pressure he put on himself to be easy. He admitted he tried hard not to need anyone. "I didn't want to be a burden," he said. "You were never a burden," I told him. "And you don't have to earn a place here." He smiled at that. A real smile. But as the sun dipped low and the garage filled with shadows, he said something that made my chest tighten again. "There's something else," he said. "Something I haven't told you." The way he said it felt heavier, more uncertain. I waited. He looked up, eyes steady but vulnerable. "I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my future," he said. "And I'm afraid of choosing wrong. That fear, that weight." I recognized it instantly. And I knew that whatever came next would ask more of me than I had expected. Daniel's confession lingered in the air between us, the kind that doesn't fade easily. "I thought you wanted to go to college for engineering," I said gently. "I did," he replied. "Or I thought I did." He explained how expectations had piled up quietly over the years. Teachers, family friends, even strangers. Everyone seemed to know who he should become. Except him. "What do you want?" I asked. He looked surprised by the question, like no one had asked it before. "I want to tell stories," he said slowly. "I want to write." He waited for me to object, to warn him, to tell him it wasn't practical. Instead, I nodded. "That makes sense," I said. His eyes widened. "Really? You've been doing it for years," I said. "You just didn't know it counted." That night, we spread his notebooks across the dining table. I read more of his work. There was emotion, clarity, a voice that felt real. But there was also doubt scribbled in the margins. Questions, self-criticism. He had talent and fear. Over the next few weeks, something shifted between us. Not dramatically, but steadily. Daniel talked more, laughed more. He stopped hiding his notebooks when I walked by. One evening, he asked if I would listen to something new he had written. Out loud. His voice trembled as he read. But he didn't stop. When he finished, the room was quiet. "That was powerful," I said. He blinked. "Powerful?" "Yes," I said. "You made me feel something." He smiled, smaller this time, but proud. Still, not everything was easy. His parents called often. They spoke about plans, expectations. Daniel grew tense after those calls. One night, he admitted he hadn't told them about his writing, about his uncertainty. "I don't want to disappoint them," he said. I understood that fear too well, but I also knew silence had a cost. "You don't have to decide everything right now," I told him, "but you shouldn't disappear inside yourself either." He nodded. Weeks later, an email arrived, a writing competition. He stared at the screen for a long time. "You should submit," I said. "What if I'm not good enough?" he asked. "Then you'll still be brave," I replied. He submitted and waited. So did I. The day the results came, he didn't open the email right away. He sat on the couch, twisting his hands. "Will you read it first?" he asked. I nodded and opened it. My heart skipped. He hadn't just been accepted. He had won. I looked at him, tears in my eyes. "You did it," I said. He froze. "Did what?" "You won," I whispered. The look on his face was something I will never forget. Shock, joy, and disbelief. But beneath it all, I saw something else. Hope. And I knew this wasn't the end of his journey. It was the beginning of a much harder conversation. The celebration was quiet but joyful. Takeout food, laughter, a sense of something opening. But joy doesn't cancel fear. It just shares the space. The next call from his parents came 2 days later. Daniel's smile faded when he saw their names on the screen. He answered, spoke politely. Then slowly, his shoulders sank. After the call ended, he sat in silence. "They want me to stick to the plan," he said, "the safe one." I didn't rush to fix it. "What do you want to say to them?" I asked. "That I'm scared," he said, "but also that I finally feel like myself." He drafted an email, deleted it, started again. This time, he was honest. He told them about the writing, the competition, the uncertainty. He didn't ask for permission. He asked for understanding. When the reply came, it wasn't perfect, but it wasn't rejection either. They were confused, concerned, but they were listening. Daniel exhaled for what felt like the first time in years. The weeks that followed were full of small changes, confidence growing quietly. He applied to programs, not just practical ones, but meaningful ones. One night while cleaning the garage, I noticed the table was empty, the notebooks gone. I felt a pang of worry. Then I found them, stacked neatly on a shelf inside his room, right where he could reach them. Later, he knocked on my door. "I left something on your desk," he said. It was a new envelope. This one wasn't sealed. Inside was a single page. A story. Short, personal. It was about a boy who learned that being seen could change everything. At the bottom, he had written a dedication for the person who stayed. My vision blurred. I realized then that what he had shown me months ago wasn't just writing, it was trust. And it had changed us both. But life doesn't pause for reflection. Graduation approached, decisions waited, and the future stood just beyond reach. Graduation day arrived quietly. No fireworks, no dramatic speeches, just sunlight, applause, and a young man walking across a stage. Daniel looked different, not older, stronger. Afterward, we stood near the parking lot, families hugging, photos snapping. He turned to me. "I couldn't have done this without you," he said. I shook my head. "You did this yourself." He smiled, "But you helped me believe I could." Later that evening, we sat on the porch, the sky dimming slowly. "I'm still scared," he admitted, "but it's a good kind of scared." I nodded. "That means you're growing." He left for his next chapter a few months later, not far, but far enough. The house felt quieter, but fuller somehow. Sometimes he calls late at night, reads me something new. Sometimes he doesn't say much at all, but I know now. Knowing someone isn't about years spent together. It's about the moments they choose to let you see. And the day my nephew showed me those notebooks, he didn't reveal a side of himself I never saw.
He revealed the one he had been protecting all along.